Hello everybody, welcome back to another video on college lifestyle in a sense. It is August 10th. I'm starting to get my habits back in order because classes are coming up in 3 weeks. Now I'm starting a little earlier than I thought I was going to, just because I figured why not. But pretty much right now, the first thing I'm going to do is reorganize my room. Classes are online this year, right? And so I'm staying home, not going to the dorm at all. Because environment is important, I want to just reorient my room just to switch things up and kind of just physically change my mindset. My room's pretty small, but essentially the layout right now, how I view it, is desk, and I'm watching and listening to Game Grumps while I do this. Drawer with like clothes and stuff and books. Some guitar, miscellaneous tech stuff. Bed and nightstand. I'm just gonna pretty much just change the order of things. But I also started my morning routine today. I pretty much had to pull out all the stops of willpower and self-discipline I had in terms of waking up at 6:45, drinking 16 ounces of water, taking a cold shower, making breakfast, eating, and I didn't get to my meditation yet, at least. And then I want to begin deep work from 8 to 9:30 a.m. every day, just before my first class. I'm taking 5 classes this semester, and during each of those time slots for the next 3 weeks, I want to show up to something, commit to kind of putting those time slots aside, because one of my main things I found that did not go well when I was taking online classes from Paris was that I wasn't able to pay attention very well. But for now, we reorder the room, and maybe I can try to do a cool spin transition. Yeah! Alright, midway through. Bed has been moved over here. There's an issue because the coax cable is there and it needs to go into my router there. But the desk was originally here. I almost fell over. But now a collapsible table. I'm thinking of putting it there so I can have the backlight from these windows, or the front light, I should say. But I'm actually really digging the bed and the whiteboard above it. And then we got this mess. But I have, class in 20 minutes. So I'm gonna see if I can move this here. Instead of thinking out loud, I'm just gonna go for it. But we also have to move that thing. So we're just gonna see how it goes. Woo! T-minus about 7 minutes until class, and the desk is like the last thing I'm setting up. So much crap here. You've got the bed, and then on my nightstand, a small nook for the guitar and stuff, and then the box stuff here, a nice open space here I don't know what to do with yet, but the desk is gonna be here, and look how perfectly this fits. Just right under the pictures. There's space for the light. And I just want to take a moment to talk about why I am doing this. So classes are online. I've been used to an online medium of learning for a long time, but on my own schedule. What I know is that I can do this. I just need to make the environment good for myself. And for me, environment is big. For example, when you go to college, usually you get a change of environment, but I'm not going to the dorms. I don't want to be stuck in NYU's mess. I don't want to be in New York City during this whole pandemic. So what I'm doing is I'm reshaping my room away from what I'm used to in, the summer, even though it's been a pretty productive summer. But I want to focus in on classes, and I'm changing things up to make things feel fresh, to make them feel new, while I get used to all of my other habits and stuff. So that being said, there's a video by Marty Lobdell on studying well, and I would encourage you to watch it, and it's an hour long, split up if you need to. But one of the things he says is create cues for your workspace and your play space. And that's super important. So my day cues, for example, putting on this necklace and putting on my watch is how I start the day now. Maybe turn on a lamp only when you're studying. Those kinds of cues. And if I had an office space, I would do that instead of shifting around my entire room. But honestly, this is kind of fun, not gonna lie. I am going to wrap up this cleaning, set up my makeshift desk with just my laptop, because I think one of the biggest cues for me will be just having my laptop for my classes on while taking notes to the side. And then, using that second monitor I have that I usually use as like a primary monitor to play games or edit videos or stuff like that. So gonna do that and get started on some Udemy art lessons, and then I have a 15-minute break until I take whatever lessons are next. Anyway, I'll talk about that when I'm done with those 2 classes and explain why I'm doing that and how that's beneficial for the upcoming semester, especially for online learning. Okay, so it is 9:50, so I'm already late for class. It gives me a good idea to tell myself, if I'm doing deep work from 8 to 9:30, make sure it's not something that restricts me from working. So this is like my main monitor. It's much easier to work on an external monitor that's connected to my laptop. I don't have a PC, I move around too much for that. This is why the lighting's bad. What I'm thinking is I have my laptop here that I work on, primarily while it's open, and I simply unplug this USB-C HDMI. Maybe it's not a good idea to have my switch on my desk, but you know what? I'm gonna go with it for now. This is my alarm clock / normal clock, but I work work on my laptop normally. And then if I ever want to go to two screens, I just plug in the USB-C and move this right over here. So I still have the second monitor, but also the main monitor, and I can put my keyboard that's Bluetooth here. Finally gonna go ahead and launch into my class, even though I'm like 20 minutes late. I'll go ahead and explain my process and why I'm doing this class thing right after I'm done with art, my 15-minute break, and into app development.
It is so hard to pay attention, dude. Oh my god. But I did it. I have a 15-minute break. I'm gonna talk about my classes and why I'm watching and taking notes for an art lecture. After an hour and a half from now, when I've worked on my app, no lectures there, just reading articles and hopefully getting started on code. Okay, so I'm technically not done with my work block yet, but the battery's about to die and I want to charge it when I do my next things. I finished up the room clean, which is fantastic. And I feel like I have a lot of stuff, but this layout feels optimal. And I might like do like one of those room tour videos, even though like no one asks, just because I think it's cool to talk about and I enjoy it. Maybe I'll center my entire channel around online learning this semester. I got the Android app running on my phone, which is kind of cool. And although I didn't spend all the time on Android development, I'm excusing it for now. This 2-3 weeks before classes start, it's a way to find what works and what doesn't. And switching my environment so far has been absolutely amazing, because up until I switched everything around, things were kind of added to the space, but now I was able to factor in everything and make myself a new space. Essentially what I've done is I looked at my upcoming NYU schedule and I said, okay, I'm gonna take every class on here and assign it something that I want to do now. So I went on Windows Calendar and created repeating events for 5 quote-unquote classes. Of the 5 classes is art and drawing, some sort of computer science and development task, whether that be right now app development, and I might be involved with another team of people next week, or game development in Unreal Engine. The third is Oinkcraft, so any sort of plugin development, community management, or responding to requests, or putting in maps, all that stuff. Russian, so using the For Dummies book, Rosetta Stone, and some other resources for Russian, and singing, because why not? And that kind of includes guitar and piano. Now, I took notes during the art lecture that I was on. The reason why I took notes that I'm likely never going to look at again was because I want to get used to taking notes and paying attention to what I am watching on my laptop's screen. During classes, I'm gonna want to be taking notes. For the next 3 weeks, I'm not gonna be, watching a Russian lecture or, looking up videos on how to develop apps, but this will be time allotted to learning those things, to doing those things, to showing I'm doing this specific thing. I'm making the choice for myself ahead of time. I have a video on analysis paralysis if you'd like to check that out. And this way, every morning I want to wake up at 6:45. I'm hoping to get to bed around 10:30, 11. But yeah, routine and stuff out of the way. I recommend, if you're watching this before your semester starts, for online classes, being able to sit down in this environment and find what works for me in terms of focusing on my lectures, what works for me in terms of finding time for the projects I want to do outside of class time is incredibly important. So during those times, I might be doing Rosetta Stone Russian, or I might be watching a Russian show. I don't know, but I will be doing something relevant to that subject for that 75 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever. Obviously, I don't have homework or tests to study for in this sense, but it will give me a good idea of how much time I have outside of these specific blocks. Now, I am taking an overloaded semester, so we'll see when I have time for studying for what classes then, but right now, I want to spend the rest of my time working on the projects that I have been this summer. Making videos, that's not a class, but I want to do that in my spare time throughout college, so I didn't make it one of those classes, because I want to always find time for this. And if I showed myself anything last week, it was that I can make one video in like 2 days. If I just sit down and show up. So I don't know what I'm doing with this video yet, but so far I've talked about changing up your environment for classes and making it work for you when you're in work mode or when you're in play mode. Secondly, set up a timing, a habit building schedule, so to speak, so you can find what works for you, what distracts you. For example, I was so distracted today and it will be hard for me to rein that focus in for a lot of reasons, but I'm gonna work on it. Anyway, I'm gonna go make some lunch and get started on editing the NYU questions video and hopefully just crank that out. And then we'll get to tip number 3, whatever that may be. It is a new day, and let's talk about habit cues a little bit. So when it comes to kind of preparing your environment for online classes and stuff, or just online learning, consistency is super important, and that consistency can change how your mind works. Habits are what they are because they're streamlined in our brain. When we're used to doing something, it takes less conscious effort to do it. For example, my morning routine, I got up at 6:45 and I was fighting myself brutally to go back to bed or not, but eventually it will come to me easier. And whether or not you want to take cold showers or what time you want to wake up, the importance of having a morning routine is to get you from point A to point D as easily and smoothly as possible. So when you sit down for a class at 9 a.m. or something like that, you're already set to go. You are already used to the motions to get there. Before I move stuff around, my habit cues to get into work mode were things as simple as putting on a watch, putting on my orange glasses, putting on a lamp, just hitting the switch to turn it on and off when I'm not studying. Things as simple as that. Right now, and I hope this system can become a bit more streamlined in the future, my desk is in work mode. When you're building this environmental shift, you want to switch around a few key things. First thing for me is having my laptop front and center and the second monitor not being used and my keyboard back here. This means I'm only focused on one screen at a time. Then I have this right space open for my notebook and my pencil. When it comes to switching to my, play mode or my non-focus mode, I just do a few simple things. Moving the notebook aside, I take my mouse pad back out. While my mouse would be helpful for navigating around my laptop, I'm not going to need it for class. I should be paying attention to what I'm watching, not what I'm interacting with. My USB extension is plugged into my laptop, so in theory, all I need to do is slide my laptop all the way over to the left, and it gets a little messy because of all the wires that get pushed over. Move it to the side here, plug my charger back in, plug in my USB-C to HDMI for the monitor, and lastly, moving my keyboard out in front. Now I'm doing things, whether that be non-focused studying, watching YouTube videos, playing games, whatever it may be. My desk setup is almost entirely different. The cues that you use are totally up to you. The two things you want to keep in mind are whether or not they change up your environment so it feels different, and two, what kinds of things you can tell yourself, when I do this, I'm turning into this mode. For example, beforehand, I used my watch, which I wear now, and my glasses, that are the orange protection ones, and I had a lamp on my desk, and I said when I'm putting on my watch and turning on that lamp, I'm going into study mode. And I used to have a different user account on my laptop. You can take 10 to 15 minutes and set up a new user account on your laptop, put on parental controls so you don't get sidetracked, and just put friction between you and the thing that you shouldn't be doing. The user account thing is something I would really recommend. Yeah, you can just uncheck a few boxes or put in your admin password, but there's still enough time in doing those steps where you have a conscious intervention and say, okay, am I really doing this because I want to? So that's it. Set up these different things in your environment, these different cues, so that you can put yourself in the mindset of learning, of focus, of paying attention. Again, it could be something as simple as just a lamp. When the lamp is on, you're studying. When it's off, you're not. I feel like I could come up with 1,000,001 different things to do, but this is one of those more personal things. Anyway, that's how I'm starting off my weeks before school to set up my environment. I've got some other tips and tricks videos in a playlist here if you want to check that out. If you're interested in, a video about online classes, things that work for me that I can try and present in a cohesive manner, let me know. I'm working on a few videos about language learning again for the upcoming weeks, but would love to expedite a video like that should it be helpful to people out there. Anyway, when you come up with your environment changes and cues, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to hear what you come up with. Thanks again for watching, have a good one, and as always, don't forget to stay awesome.